didn't get there, so, they're still working on it, and, I think we're still interested in,
How,
helping
do you know
get
how big
that.
that sign is?
Pardon?
Do you know how big that sign is?
I know it doesn't look that big, but it's really fairly big.
Wasn't it 32 feet?
I don't recall.
30 or 30 by 20 or 32 by 20.
But anyway, I'll try to get you some more detailed, numbers on what that's gonna take to fix.
I know somebody that could possibly do the banner part of it.
Okay,
It's just pretty reasonable.
good.
Or just whatever we want on it. And just have to let her know.
Okay.
And she can
We may
fix it
have to
quick.
do some, fixing of the posts and stuff like that too. Might be more than just redoing the surface of the sign. But would she, would there be some sort of protective coat? Okay.
She's done, the banners, I don't know if you remember seeing the law enforcement banner that was on, outside the sheriff's office there.
Mhm.
She did those.
Oh, Colleen,
Yeah.
yeah, she uses vinyl, she's a professional, and she's local and her prices are good.
Yeah.
And she gives really good deals.
The information I'm getting is if we go vinyl, we better plan on putting a little money into it every 3 years. But I think it's worth it to keep it going. Okay. Let's move on. Sewer line camera purchase.
We got one bid at 6,400, and then another one, they sent me a brochure that was said 10, and then I called them, got online. It's a comparable 64 to 66, depending on the color camera. It's you can go a little more if you want to pull it behind your sewer jet. We're looking at one we can just push, and it's got 200 feet of cable that you can push up, and then you'd have to come the other way with from a manhole. Otherwise, you're moving up on cost, and then you got to use your sewer jet to pull it down and then pull it back down to see it, and we kind of rather not do that. Although it's still under 10,000, and the one that I got was 8,900 or something like that. So I haven't decided which type I really want to go with yet, but that's pretty close to ballpark, 6,000 to 7,000.
Sounds like a piece of equipment that we will really need to invest in.
I think so, because like I said, if we're gonna hire that out, it's gonna, to do our whole town is $25,000 to $27,000. So you have this camera here that you can do it yourself, so many feet a year, and then have access to that all the time when you have problems and being able to go look at things. I think it's another piece we should have sitting on the wall.
Okay, good. Let's move.
So one purchase like budget,
Oh, maybe we better do that.
that would be nice.
Think about this and see if you want to give Roger a dollar figure and we can get it in next year's budget.
I'd like to propose 7,000.
Okay.
You said 6 to 7, so let's.
Okay, so let's make sure everybody understands the motion. The motion is that Larry give Roger permission to purchase a sewer line camera and spend up to $7,000. Ronnie seconds it. Any discussion?
Roger, 7,000,
For what, for the,
you good with that?
for the push one, that's the one we're looking at, is the one we can push. If we want to go to the one that's a sewer jet, then we'd have to move up to about 9. But I think we can do everything we need with this push one.
Okay. Question?
Fine.
Aye.
Okay, it passes. Thank you for researching that, Roger. Town office project.
I think we're kind of stuck where we were about a month ago. We're simply waiting for CDGB to come back to us and say, yes, we'll let you do that. And after, at the state office, the people we were communicating with thought about it for a little while and decided they would pass the question on to somebody else, whoever that might be, and I don't know. And I've been kind of a little reluctant to nudge them, because sometimes when you nudge people, they say, well, okay, I can say no real quick. But if you would like me to do that, I'm certainly happy to do that, but I just haven't been comfortable that I wanted to take that approach yet. Maybe there's another way to nudge them from direction too.
We haven't got any firm design from the architect on that yet, have we?
No,
So we still
There's no
got
cost
some
to
time there.
CDGB stuff either.
Pardon me?
There's no cost to them, so it's like, why would they not say, yeah, go
yeah,
ahead?
well, here's what's going on in their, the issues they're wrestling with, and I agree 100%, it shouldn't bother them, that they should be perfectly content with it. The CDGB money cannot be used to build town offices. We disclosed right up front that we were building town offices as a separate part of the project. They took that into consideration when they gave us their grant, so and we can easily completely keep separate all the funding to build the town offices from the fire hall project, so there's no reason we shouldn't be able to do both. It's not like we're suddenly dropping this idea on them at the last minute or anything else. I guess they're just a little uncomfortable, and again, I don't think there's a good reason for it, but they're a little uncomfortable with the fact that we're talking about doing it with a change order using the same contractor. But, you know, again, we have a fixed price for the fire hall on what we're doing, subject to any change orders, and if you do a change order, they have to approve it, and the change order is gonna tell you what it's for, and if it's for anything to do with the town offices, they're not gonna approve it. So, you know, they have a perfectly good way of making sure we're keeping things segregated. But I think it's a little bit of that, nobody really wants to make a decision.
They would rather we wait until the project's totally finished, they're out of the picture, and then.
And tear the wall off the end of the building and start.
Yeah, and that's, you know, we just have to put some siding on that we have to take back off. I mean, that wall is already framed now, so there have to be modifications to the framing. But yeah, I mean, and it also, right now, we've got a contractor there. If we wait till it's all over, then the next contractor is gonna have to remobilize and go through all of the, we're gonna have to go through all of the, does he have insurance, does he have the bonds, does he, all that whole process will repeat. And in fact, if we didn't do it by change order, you'd have to rebid it, which also means the cost of the architectural fees to do the bid package would go up, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of additional costs if we can't do it at the same time. That's what we're trying to avoid.
We explained to them that we just got done with a 5-year water project with 7 funding agencies and 2 phases. And the second
And
phase was
kept them
done
separate, yeah.
with a change order.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was done with water funds, so.
Yeah.
So, and I kept them straight.
It should be doable, but.
Okay, let's move on. Thank you for doing your best on that. Hopefully we will get someone. This is a resolution that doesn't have a number on it that we considered last month and tabled. Declaration of support for coal use and development. Whereas coal represents the most abundant source of energy for the United States, whereas coal is one of the most reliable and affordable sources of fuel for electricity generation, whereas consumers, businesses, communities, and service providers need affordable more than ever in this time of economic uncertainty and stand to benefit from affordable and reliable coal-based electricity, whereas the United States holds more coal reserves than any other nation, and Montana is home to the largest coal reserves in the United States, with nearly 1/3 of the estimated recoverable reserves, whereas Montana's annual coal production is currently only 1/20 of a percent of our estimated reserves, recoverable reserves. At the current rate of production, it would take over 1,600 years to exhaust Montana's coal reserves, whereas development of Montana coal resources will create thousands of new jobs and provide millions of dollars in tax revenue for the state and local government, whereas coal reserves in Montana can meet the demand of the domestic market and earn revenue for the state of Montana by being exported to foreign markets via West Coast ports, whereas generated electricity has increased 183% since 1970, while emissions from coal-based power plants have been cut by 75% per generation unit. Be it resolved that the town of Superior supports the continued use and development of the coal-based power in the United States and supports the expansion of additional shipping capacity to existing ports in order to allow the sale of Montana resources to emerging markets, passed by the council, approved by the mayor this 11th day, would be 8th day of July 2012. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Ronnie makes the
I'll
motion.
second the motion.
Seconded. Okay. We're ready for discussion.
I'd like to say this, Montana is a natural resource state. That's really what we have. We've got timber, we've got gold mining, we've got some other minerals we extract, and we've got coal. That's what runs the state, our natural resources. I see no harm in, a timber community supporting coal communities on the eastern side of the state. I think it's, they're not asking for money, they're not asking for anything but basically moral support, and I think it's a good thing. Maybe someday we're gonna need them to support our timber, because we're under fire too.
Yes.
One of the things when this first came out that I became aware of is that this is a byproduct of the federal government trying to put more squeeze on our natural resources. And this is just another one of them that puts us at a disadvantage both at the state level but at the national level too. And with the concepts that are happening now nationally in not being able to drill for oil or only be able to do a certain kind of oil extraction, that the coal is a good alternative for us that is a big benefit. And there's a pressure from the federal level to close and shut this access down. That's what stimulated this here product. I mean, this resolution that you're dealing with. And so I'd like to support the resolution at the same time having an understanding of where it came from in the beginning. And they talk about shipping it overseas to China, Japan, or wherever for their industry. Well, we've got enough to do it. And the other thing is, Montana coal is what they call sweet coal. It's a very it's low in sulfurs and low in pollution compared to the east side over in the Appalachians that is more polluting type of coal. There's all different kinds of. Montana has some of the best coal quality that it has, and we would be remiss in not having that be part of our state infrastructure as well as the rest of our resources. So I'd like to say to Superior, let's send in that letter of support for those reasons.
Thanks, Dennis. Yes.
Mr. Mayor, my name's Chuck Deneau. I work with an organization called Count on Coal Montana, and we're the ones that have drafted this resolution and sent it down for your consideration, and we appreciate having a moment to be here with you tonight. The reason why we're asking local governments to consider this resolution is Montana's at a real crossroads right now. We've got opportunity to produce a lot more coal in this state, and as you've probably seen out of cities like Helena and Missoula, there's some real opposition growing to that question, whether Montana is going to produce more coal. And so our objective is to make sure that communities all over the state realize the impact that coal has. It's not just eastern Montana counties. The coal severance taxes that are collected every year go to communities all over the state, provides education funding all over the state, provides a lot of infrastructure funding for city and county governments, and we want to see more of that happen. And the potential for coal development in Montana is enormous. We've got more coal than any other state in the country. Wyoming's number 2. We've got twice as much coal as Wyoming, and yet Wyoming produces 10 times more coal than Montana does. And everybody's heard of the Otter Creek mine. That would be a huge benefit to Montana, but there's other opportunities out there. But we're seeing opposition growing on the coal train issue. There's Helena and Missoula have taken actions to try to prevent more increased rail traffic through Montana. And if we can't transport this resource, we're not going to be able to produce it. And so that's why we're here, is to answer any questions you might have. We've also asked Mineral County to pass the resolution. They've agreed to do that. They've already passed the same resolution, and we're going to communities all over the state just to kind of, in hopes that people recognize the tremendous opportunity that's out there for coal development.
Do you know what the revenue is to the state of Montana for each train that goes through with 100 cars?
The figure I've heard that is that it's I think $28,000 in tax revenue per train.
There's 7 to 8 of those trains going through here each day, right now.
Yeah, and I can't understand why they're growling about coal dust coming off those trains. That's, I've never seen any coal dust. You can see that train going at any speed, there's no dust coming off.
That's right.
Once you dump one, then you'll have a little bit, but not spray some water on it and just take care of it.
That's what Missoula's problem is, isn't it? The dust?
That's the excuse they're using, is that it's coal dust. They don't have any science to back that up. Most of I think the figure is 98% of the dust from that coal is contained at the mine mouth. They use they spray each of those train cars, and that's what prevents most of the dust from coming off of them. And it's not it's not a real problem. I live right by the train tracks now, and I've never seen coal dust either. So
I think
There's another issue got brought up last month in reference to this, and that was in the event of a train wreck out here on the track. What are the particular, specifically to coal, hazards of the train derailment with coal cars?
well, what the other side likes to focus on is mercury. And it's true that coal has mercury in it, but it's not released until you burn it. So a lump of coal is, I wouldn't encourage you to eat it, but it's not particularly harmful.
Relatively benign.
Yeah, it's not something you want dumped in the river, or, it's not something we want dumped down there, but it is a hazardous materials go. There's a lot worse stuff that goes by on the rails every day. So, about a third of the traffic out there is the rail traffic. About a third of it's coal trains. But another third's is grain trains, and then the rest of it is just general merchandise. You see automobiles, planes, but some of it's chemicals too. So there's some hazardous stuff that does go on the rails.
Any further discussion? Are you ready for the vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys coming.
Yeah, thank you.
We did have some questions.
I will number and fix the date before you.
Okay, good. Yeah, I appreciate that, because we did have some concerns. We were kind of wondering why Helena and Missoula were complaining. And of course, coal isn't the only resource, but it certainly is our most abundant resource. So I thank you for coming. Okay, let's move on to new business. Old School Enterprise subdivision, proposed easement. Marlis.
I normally stand up, but I'm just gonna go hi. All the other issues, as I understand it from legal counsel, are now being tabled except for the top letter that was on the packet that you guys were sent, that was signed by me. So the only issue on the table tonight is we're proposing that we keep the lawn and the maple trees so that people can have the car shows in the farmer's market and all those lovely little things that they do. And in exchange, we'd put covenants on that subdivision, and we're requesting a grandfathering of the well that's on